Tonight, several developing stories as we come on the air. The deadly plane crash. Breaking news about the 10 people killed, including 2 pilots and 4 members of the same family. The small plane slamming into the hangar, the new images coming in, and what authorities have just found out. The mystery death of a Major League Baseball player, what authorities are saying tonight. President Trump back home after that historic meeting with Kim Jong-un. Now a report claiming the White House may allow North Korea to keep its nuclear stockpile. And just moments ago, the president's new threat for Iran, Martha Raddatz standing by. Outrage at the border, a secret Facebook group discovered current and former border agents accused of joking about migrant deaths and posting racist and sexist jokes. The investigation tonight. Violent protests erupting overseas, police firing tear gas, demonstrators storming a government building. The urgent manhunt tonight for an escaped killer, cutting off his ankle monitor and vanishing on the last day of his trial. The jury returning a guilty verdict without him. And the meeting at the net.
This is ABC World News Tonight with David Muir.
Good evening, and it's great to have you with us on a busy Monday night. I'm Cecilia Vega in for David, and we begin with what the NTSB has just revealed about the deadliest plane crash in Texas in 30 years. The small Beechcraft twin-engine plane slamming into a hangar just moments after takeoff, its fuel erupting into a fireball. 2 pilots and 8 passengers on board. No one survived. Now, new images just coming in from inside that charred hangar. And tonight, we are learning that a family of 4 were among the dead. But now questions remain about why the plane crashed so abruptly. ABC's Marcus Moore starts us off at the airport in Addison, Texas.
Tonight, these images show the intense flames, thick smoke, and a desperate effort to help after a twin-engine plane fell from the sky. Investigators say the Beechcraft BE-350 was carrying 2 crew members and 8 passengers when it went down shortly after takeoff from this small airport north of Dallas Sunday. The plane slamming into an unoccupied hangar and then bursting into flames.
Everybody just stand by. We had a accident on the field.
Emergency crews rushing to put out the flames that engulfed the wreckage. The crash leaving a gaping hole at the top of the hangar.
The airplane had gotten airborne and then veered to the left of the runway and then started to roll to the left. And it was in the process of rolling when it collided with the hangar.
There were no survivors. Among those killed, a family of 4 from Plano, Texas. The school where one of the children attended, confirming the siblings, their mom and stepfather all died in the crash. The plane was headed to St. Petersburg, Florida. The NTSB says they recovered the cockpit voice recorder, but other crucial evidence was destroyed.
Unfortunately, due to the extensive post-impact fire and damage incurred during the impact sequence, other systems are virtually destroyed.
And Marcus joins us now live from the scene of that crash. Marcus, we just heard the NTSB say they recovered the cockpit voice recorder, but this plane did not have a flight data recorder?
Yeah, Cecilia, as you know, this type of plane does not require a flight data recorder, and that's going to make it harder for investigators as they look into this deadly crash. Now, the cockpit voice recorder, however, it is already in Washington being analyzed, and investigators are listening to the background noise, hoping it will lead them to a critical clue that can help them figure out what brought this plane down. Cecilia?
A lot of questions there. Okay, Marcus, thank you. We'll turn next to that breaking news, the mysterious death of a Major League Baseball player. Angels pitcher Tyler Skaggs found dead in his hotel room in Texas. He just pitched a game on Saturday. He was only 27 years old. ABC's Eva Pilgrim has the details coming in.
Tonight, tragedy hitting Major League Baseball. Just hours ago, 27-year-old Los Angeles Angels pitcher Tyler Skaggs was found dead in his hotel room.
Medic 41, truck 41, respond, medical emergency, Hilton, South Lake Town Square.
Skaggs was in Dallas, his team going up against the Texas Rangers. He had just pitched Saturday night, but this afternoon, police were called around 2 to his hotel. The pitcher unresponsive.
The possible death investigation.
Skaggs was pronounced dead at the scene. He leaves behind a wife he married just 7 months ago. The Angels organization releasing a statement saying, Tyler has and always will be an important part of the Angels family. Our thoughts and prayers are with his wife, Carly, and his entire family during this devastating time. Support now pouring in from his rivals.
It wasn't a guy that I enjoyed having to go up against. Obviously, he gave all the teams I coached fits. It's just awful to think that that's not going to be around anymore.
Tonight's Angels-Rangers game has been canceled. Police say they do not suspect any foul play. Cecilia?
Okay, Eva, thank you. We'll turn next tonight to President Trump confronting 2 nuclear threats. Iran increasing its stockpiled uranium in defiance of the Iran nuclear deal. Though the president pulled out of the U.S. out of that deal a year ago, today he said Iran is, quote, playing with fire. This comes after that historic meeting with Kim Jong-un. Now a new report claims the White House may allow North Korea to keep its nuclear weapons. Here's ABC's chief global affairs correspondent, Martha Raddatz.
For weeks now, Iran has been building up its stockpile of nuclear material, and today, for the first time, it has passed the limits set in the landmark nuclear deal negotiated by the Obama administration. The move comes a year after President Trump pulled the U.S. out of that deal. Today, he was asked if he has a message for Iran.
No message to Iran. They know what they're doing. They know what they're playing with, and I think they're playing with fire.
The president has called for new talks, but Iran is showing no sign its leaders want to negotiate with Trump. Iran, one of 2 nuclear challenges facing the administration, the other, North Korea.
My friend.
Over the weekend, Trump becoming the first sitting U.S. president to step foot on North Korean soil. The hastily arranged meeting at the heavily fortified demilitarized zone, which divides the North and South. Kim Jong-un telling Donald Trump he never expected to meet him at this place. And with that, history was made. Trump giving an open invitation to the brutal dictator to visit the White House.
I would invite him right now. To the White House, absolutely.
But Trump and Kim have, of course, met before, twice, in Singapore and Hanoi. Neither meeting resulting in any progress in denuclearization.
Okay, Martha Raddatz joining us now from Washington. And Martha, the New York Times is reporting today that the Trump administration has a new idea for North Korea, a nuclear freeze with no requirement to immediately get rid of the weapons it already has.
Exactly, Cecilia, but that story was promptly dismissed in a tweet from National Security Advisor John Bolton, calling it a reprehensible attempt by someone to box in the president. Bolton adding there should be consequences, but Cecilia, as you know, Bolton was not with the president at that impromptu meeting. He is tweeting from Mongolia. Cecilia?
Indeed, he was. Martha, thank you. We'll turn next to the outrage over the border. Immigration officials tonight launching an investigation into a secret Facebook group where Border Patrol agents allegedly joked about the deaths of migrants and posted vulgar illustrations about members of Congress. It comes as members of the Congressional Hispanic Caucus today made their way inside one of the most troubled detention centers. ABC's Will Carr has more from the border in San Ysidro, California.
Tonight, Customs and Border Protection is investigating what it calls disturbing and completely inappropriate posts allegedly made by Border Patrol agents on social media. ProPublica just published the vulgar and threatening post after the nonprofit found a secret group on Facebook allegedly comprised of roughly 9,500 current and former Border Patrol agents. One thread about an image that sparked national outrage of a drowned Salvadoran and his young daughter. One comment suggests the photo had been edited because the bodies appeared too clean. Other posts include graphic images suggesting sexual and physical violence against members of Congress. One member encouraging agents to throw a burrito at Congresswomen Veronica Escobar and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, part of a delegation touring 2 Texas CBP facilities today. Ocasio-Cortez was just asked about the posts.
In that last facility, I was not safe from the officers in that facility.
Tonight, the Border Patrol's chief of operations is defending his agency, but not the comments.
Don't let the actions of a few be representative of the whole is what I would ask.
And Will Carr joins us now from near the U.S.-Mexico border in Southern California. Will, immigration officials opening an investigation. They say any agents who may have violated agency conduct policies will be held accountable.
That's right, Cecilia. The chief of the agency says agents will be held accountable according to the code of conduct, regardless if they were on or off duty. It comes as members of Congress tell us they plan to launch an investigation, and President Trump just weighed in. He's calling Border Patrol agents patriots. Cecilia.
Okay, Will, thank you. We'll turn overseas now to Hong Kong. Tens of thousands again taking to the streets. Protesters storming a government building there. Riot police responding with tear gas. Dozens reportedly injured. The protests spilling into the streets and turning violent. Here's ABC's foreign correspondent James Longman.
With makeshift battering rams, protesters smashed through the glass, storming Hong Kong's legislative building. Inside, chaos as they make their way to the chamber, spraying graffiti on the walls, their anger scrawled over the city's emblem. Holding the building for hours until midnight, when riot police descend, charging at the crowd, throwing tear gas. Outside, riot police batons take on the umbrellas that have again become a symbol of this cause. Their anger growing for weeks over a proposed extradition law which would deport citizens of Hong Kong wanted by Beijing to face mainland justice.
This is something that...
Tonight, Hong Kong's leader Carrie Lam condemning the violence, but in a possible victory for protesters, says the bill likely won't come into law.
Whilst these protests have perhaps killed an unpopular law, Hong Kong's long-term future in the shadow of an increasingly authoritarian mainland China is still in the balance. Cecilia?
Incredible images there. Okay, James, thank you. Back here now to a deadly poison scare at Facebook. Authorities say sarin may have been discovered at the company's mailing facility in the San Francisco Bay Area. Hazmat crews on the scene, police and fire closing off the area. Facebook says it evacuated 4 buildings. Authorities say a test came back negative for sarin. The company is cooperating with authorities in that investigation. We'll turn next to the severe weather as we head into the 4th of July. In the past 24 hours, a barn ripped apart by a likely tornado in Caneville, Illinois. Severe thunderstorms in Connecticut and Long Island killing 2 people. These images coming in from Islip, New York. And the temperatures are now rising with a heat wave on the way for parts of the Northeast. ABC's chief meteorologist Ginger Z is tracking it all. Hey, Ginger.
Hey, Cecilia, why is the heat a big deal? Because it was so late. From the Great Lakes to Northeast, we just saw our first 90-degree temperature, almost a month or more late for a lot of cities. And now dive into this picture with me because that jet stream, it is far north. And what it means tonight, severe thunderstorm watches from Montana to Minnesota. I was just watching some of the radar near Austin and Rochester, Minnesota, firing up tonight. Those are for damaging winds up to 70 miles per hour. But look at that heat. The heat indices up in the mid-90s from Nashville to Washington, D.C. tomorrow. And then it only builds. We're talking about air you can wear, Cecilia. 100 the feels like in Nashville, 104 Tallahassee on Wednesday.
Not fun. Okay, Ginger, thank you. Next to the troubling portrait of Joe Biden's younger son, Hunter Biden, opening up to the New Yorker magazine about his foreign business dealings and his tumultuous personal life, including struggles with addiction. All of it likely fodder for attacks in his father's battle for the White House. Here's ABC's Lindsay Davis.
In the incredibly candid interview with The New Yorker, 49-year-old Hunter Biden lays bare his struggle with drugs and alcohol.
Is ready. And we will do this as we always have, as a family.
Hunter Biden noticeably absent that day, telling The New Yorker, "It's heartbreaking for me. It's killing me and it's killing him. Dad says be here. Mom says be here. But at what cost?" Hunter says he skipped the rally because he'd become the subject of negative stories. Now, in wrenching detail, he opens up about his spiral into addiction, including at least 5 trips to rehab. There's addiction in every family, he says. I was in that darkness. I was in that tunnel. It's a never-ending tunnel. You don't get rid of it. You figure out how to deal with it. He shares multiple harrowing experiences, from trying to smoke crack by stuffing it into a cigarette, to getting discharged from the Naval Reserves after testing positive for cocaine, to having a gun pointed at his head while trying to buy drugs in a homeless encampment. And he says he relapsed after the 2015 death of his older brother, Beau. Soon after, he also struck up a brief romantic relationship with Beau's widow. Then in May, Hunter Biden proposed to another woman after knowing her for just 1 week.
Did our son Hunter get married? Yes, he did.
And then there's the matter of Hunter Biden's business dealings. Questions about whether he'd leverage his father's name to win business in Ukraine and China, where Hunter accompanied his father on an official trip in 2013. President Trump is calling for an investigation.
100%. It's a disgrace.
There has been no evidence Joe Biden used his influence to help his son. Hunter says he and his dad only spoke once about Ukraine. Dad said, "I hope you know what you're doing." And I said, "I do."
And Lindsay joins us now. Lindsay, it seems Hunter Biden was very much aware that he could become a liability for his father's campaign.
And it's very clear that they are trying to get ahead of all of this. The critics are already asking questions about Hunter and his business ties, Cecilia.
Okay, Lindsay, thank you so much. Next tonight, the urgent manhunt for a convicted killer who disappeared just hours before a jury found him guilty of murder. Officials say he managed to cut off his ankle bracelet before going missing. Here's ABC's Steve Osunsami.
Federal marshals tonight say they need help finding this man, 25-year-old Rene Carrillo, who skipped bail and disappeared the very night before a Texas jury convicted him of murder.
Anybody that is associated with him, we're going to be contacting them.
This surveillance video is from the night of the killing in October of 2017 outside a Dallas strip club. You see Carrillo get out of a white Cadillac and shoot into this white Mercedes, killing the young man in the passenger seat. The jury gave him life in prison. How he was able to run is now a huge concern.
His ankle monitor had been cut off and discarded on the side of the road in Terrell, Texas.
During his trial, Carrillo was out on a $100,000 bond and required to wear the ankle bracelet. There were issues as far back as December when the bondholder says Carrillo had already once failed to check in.
I did not set the bond in this case. The assigned judge at the time did, and it may very well have been appropriate. I'm not second guessing that at all.
Police say the company that tracks the ankle monitor told them that he was tampering with it around 11 p.m. the night before the verdict and then removed it soon after. But police say they didn't see the notice for this until the next morning. Cecilia?
A lot of questions there. Okay, Steve, thank you. The index now starting with a warning ahead of the 4th of July. Authorities say a 9-year-old girl in Philadelphia is in critical condition after an illegal explosive device blew up in her hands. She suffered injuries to her arms, body, and face. Investigators say her father purchased those devices. He is now facing possible charges. Take a look at this one, a terrifying view from inside the cockpit. The pilot of a small plane losing his engine, forced to make an emergency landing near Ludlow, California. The plane going down in Mojave National Preserve. Thankfully, the pilot and the passenger were not hurt. But the nearest road was about a 5-hour hike away. A medical chopper airlifting them back to the airport. And the teen tennis star at Wimbledon, 15-year-old Corey Coco Gauff, defeating her idol Venus Williams in the first round of the tournament. The teen says she's grown up in awe of Venus and her sister, Serena.
I was just telling her thank you for everything that she's done for the sport, and she's been an inspiration for many people, and I was just really telling her thank you.
Gauff had a science test the day before her Wimbledon qualifying match. She says several of her teachers had no idea she even plays tennis. They sure do now. You can watch coverage of Wimbledon on ESPN. And finally tonight, we've got it. World Cup fever. Team USA takes on England in the semifinals tomorrow. If you have to work, the players say, tell your boss you're not coming in. Here's ABC's Adrian Bankert.
Go USA! Tonight, World Cup excitement at a fever pitch on the eve of that do-or-die semifinal. USA versus England.
I've got to say, America have got that ruthless streak of wanting to win.
USA! USA! American fans sporting their red, white, and blue from Times Square to France. Go USA!
Go USA!
Go USA!
Go USA!
Even Oprah joining in.
Go US!
The indomitable Megan Rapinoe explains what's behind her bold celebration pose to our Robin Roberts.
You're sort of on the stage, so I guess I'm looking at myself as a performer and trying to entertain.
England is a worthy opponent. Tuesday's showdown will feature powerhouses Ellen White and Lucy Bronze. Team USA hopes that fans back home will get some time off to watch the game.
Everybody's been super stoked and has been getting out of work to cheer us on.
Counting on love from the States and here in the stands as they aim to move one step closer to another championship.
They rock. We follow them anywhere.
Adrian Bankert, ABC News, Lyon, France.
We will be cheering the team on. Thanks for watching. I'm Cecilia Vega. Hope to see you right back here tomorrow night. Have a great evening.